Good evening, televiewers, and welcome to yet another exciting edition on our program Mountain Echoes. Today, Tuesday, the 21st of May 2024, we shall be looking at this topic. Men are polygamous by nature. Our justification for promiscuity in men. So there is a question. The first part of it, which is in quote, shows maybe kind of mentality or school of thought that men by birth or by nature they are polygamous, and it's asking, is that a justification for them or some of them being promiscuous in the society? And we cannot be treating something of that magnitude without bringing on board married people, those who can tell us their little experiences, maybe in their neighborhood, back then in your families, back then maybe in their Jange group, as we may call them, where they work and so on and so forth. So we have Mr. William Kome. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Father. I am so happy to be in this panel for today. It's a very wonderful topic that we'll be talking about. Men being, well, we are thinking that men are somehow polygamous in nature. Is it possible? But I think when we are talking about marriage, we are talking about marriage in the context of the as a Christian. We are not talking of marriage in any other context, because we know marriage, as in the book of Matthew chapter 19 verse 5, Jesus said, God make them male and female, that a man will leave his parents and a woman will leave her own parents, and the both of them will come together and they'll become one. That is marriage. And he said divorce is something that we should not encourage. Divorce is something that we should not encourage. That's why he even said, whosoever divorces a woman and marry another woman commits adultery. So marriage is something for one man, one woman, and nobody has the right to break that, whether it is what you are not supposed to. There's nothing like a man has the possibility to go out and get another woman. No, it's one man, one woman. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Williams. We'll be coming back to you again. We have, of course, Mr. Emmanuel C. Mr. Emmanuel is married also. Mr. Emmanuel, looking at the topic of today's edition, it seems to be maybe very strange to you, but years back, many persons buy that school of thought and they think it's a way of life for them, and there are some cultures also who encourage that, and maybe even encourages your sons or maybe daughters when they go in for marriage, that just know that as you're going in for this particular situations, know that a point in time your husband, you may not see your husband, he might have gone out to meet some other women, because it's just normal that he cannot stay with you alone. Those things are common in the neighborhood. So what do you think about that, Mr. Iman?
Thank you very much, Father. Good evening, fellow panelists. We meet again to feed the world with the little we have, and this time around talking about a very pertinent topic, which is dealing with our society and making so many things go wrong. Yeah, I would like to term this in two aspects. I will term it a conception and at the same time a misconception, because we are trying to make it look like it's a normal thing that must be done by men, but on the other hand, I want to say that it is not normal, it's an abnormal thing, because when you look in our society, you discover there are some persons, there are some men who actually live that monogamous life, who are away from polygamy. So as we exhaust the topic, we are actually going to talk and come to a compromise on whether is it true that a man is truly polygamous, or it's just a say people have in their minds, or it's just a conclusion people have. So we are going to see to how the Bible discourages this as act of polygamous marriages, as well as look into how the Old Testament makes us to see that many people whom God called to deal with or to help him in the proclamation of his word were actually polygamous. So Jesus came to modify the law and not to abolish it, just to abolish it.
Yes,
so
thank you very much.
We're going to see modifications as Jesus came to make that old law look the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iman. And we have, of course, with us Madame Nkwo Melanie. Good evening and welcome to DMRO TV, to this very special edition on Mountain Echoes. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Father. Good evening, my panelists. Good evening, televiewers. I'm excited, I'm delighted to be on the set this evening to share on this wonderful, exciting topic that is a very controversial one.
Of course.
Because like my brother said, it is just a conception that so many people have. It's a philosophy, it's a school of thought for many people. Some of the opinion that men are polygamous in nature, while some of the opinion that it is not supposed to be so. Because there is no law anywhere that says men should be polygamous in nature. Definitely that should be people's philosophy or their own ideology to justify why they are doing some certain acts. So as the program unfolds, we'll be saying more about it. Remember, why I say polygamous, men are not polygamous in nature, is because from the very onset, when God created man, he said, it is not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
And so he went ahead and said, I will create for him a helper. And he created for him a woman. And we will continue in the New Testament, or still in Genesis. He says, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one. That already tells us that polygamy is prohibited, or it is not supposed to be. The society is not supposed to be a polygamous society, because from the very origin, it's supposed to be one man, one woman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mother Melanie. We'll be coming back to that. Those some persons who have points in the Bible also telling you of how this whole thing started in the Bible. But then, like you said it all, we are going to unravel all those things and see where we are going to and what is expected from us in our society today. Are we encouraging promiscuity by the men now, or maybe we are discouraging promiscuity? Are we giving the men a leeway that they could have a deuxième bureau, as we'll call it in French, or we're telling them that they ought to stick with one wife till death do they part? What are we telling those people? So, like I said, it's a school of thought. It's a kind of a philosophy, like you say, and people may buy it, others may not buy it. But in some cultures, also, it is part and parcel of it. They hold it so strong that when you go in for marriage, I'm sure maybe the traditional marriage, they're going to tell the wife that do not expect this husband to be alone for you. He has some other things to follow. Maybe they will even prepare maybe another wife in the village. You have one in coast, as we may call it, and so on and so forth. Because by nature, he is not so. You are not enough for him. Some other persons they know that is just part and parcel of your culture. But then, like I said at the beginning, we're going to see if probably that is what we are expected to sell out there. What the society is going to look like, or what does the society is supposed to take. Is it what the church says? Is it what the society says? What are we going to take as maybe our home material? What are we going to take as a way of life as Christians? Are we like saying that what God said at the beginning of the book of Genesis is nothing for us? All those things, we're going to look them in the course of the program. We have one other person with us here. We have Madam Helen. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, I'm sure you are aware of that topic of today. Maybe in your neighborhood, have you maybe come in contact with persons who, in one way or the other, tell you that no, madam, this whole thing like this, men by nature, they are polygamous. Have you heard about this? Maybe
of course.
Yeah.
You cannot be without hearing about this in our African society.
Yeah. So the first time maybe you came in contact with this kind of person, what was your, what did you carry home?
Actually, I wondered why they would think that way, because I did not share the same view with them. Given that I'm a Christian, I don't share the same view like men should get married to as many wives as they want to. But these same persons think that it is, like you said, everybody has their own view. But then there is one view that is that we should take, that I think, and that is what the Creator sees. Yeah. Like in Genesis chapter 2, when he created the world, he said, man will leave his father and mother and cling unto the wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Yeah. And so he gave the commandment, and he gave the go ahead for a man to get married to a wife and not to many wives, or a woman to many husbands. So I think any other method, it's not the right method.
Thank you very much, Madam Helen, for that. We come back to Mr. Williams. Our topic is there. Men are polygamous by nature, a justification for promiscuity in men. When we talk about polygamy, what are you telling the viewers about it, first and foremost?
Well, polygamy is a situation, it's a married regime, or a married where a man gets married to at least two or more wives. And this usually happens in the context of the African context. Yes, even in Europeans, I've seen even a white with about 6 wives. Yes, an American, I've seen an American with about 6 wives. Also in in the Islam.
Yeah.
Islam is normal. It's very, very normal that you cannot get married to only one wife. I remember there was a video that circulated on the social media about 2 weeks ago where they caught one Muslim, and they were trashing him for keeping only one wife. So they were saying that how could
why were they trashing him?
They said he had only one wife that is supposed to get married to a second wife. So I think
was that in Boya municipality?
No, I don't know where the stuff.
Because I don't think the Imam Abubakar of the Central Mosque of Boya could do that kind of thing.
No,
he cannot.
That's a very decent man now.
Yeah,
Malam is a very decent man.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's some of the origin, and also, you know, we can say in general our culture, the cultural aspect of Africa is just like in the Cameroonian context, a traditional ruler. If, for example, I'm not a traditional ruler. I'm married to my wife, and it's monogamy. Once I'm made a traditional ruler, automatically I don't need to go to the court and to change the regime.
Yeah.
Automatically I'm a polygamist. So that is the culture. Our culture actually gives us that possibility to become polygamy.
Yes, but there is something, Mr. William. There's something that we are not seeing yet. I'm looking at the second part of it. A justification for promiscuity in men. Just that fact that maybe in Africa that they know that maybe, you know, you could get married to.
No, the issue is once you are married, there is one thing which is very clear about this sexual issue or this promiscuity. Promiscuity is a sin.
Yeah,
it's a sin, and God is against any form of sin.
Yeah.
Once you are sex, for example, sexual intercourse is for married people.
Married people, yeah.
It's for married people, and it's not for unmarried people. Yes. So once you
and for the sake of procreation, also for the married people.
For married people.
Mr. Emmanuel is going to tell us about that sacrament of marriage. Yeah. Not for satisfaction or pleasure.
I want to live in myself in the case of procreation. What if the child or children don't come? So you will not be doing sexual intercourse.
So we'll be coming to that.
What I'm saying is that marriage is for sexual intercourse is only for married people.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, marriage is for one man, one woman. It's very clear where Jesus Christ said this in Matthew chapter 19 verse 5. It's very clear that the man will live, as I earlier said in my introductory aspect. So once you are married as a single or a monogamy, there is no need for you to go on to be dating another woman or to get married to another woman. If you do that, then that is promiscuity, because it's like you are committing adultery, and it's against the marriage regime that you actually sign, and that is a sin. So I think as a married person, you should respect your contract, because it's a contract. You should respect the contract, and you should keep to your Christian doctrine. Yeah. Not to go against it.
Mr. Iman, do you have something to add before we start looking at the causes, things that may push these men to put this whole thing to justify this fact that since they are polygamous by nature, therefore promiscuity should just be maybe their best friend?
Father, I think right from the beginning of time, when God created Adam and Eve and put in the garden, and the snake came to tempt, the snake could not go to Adam, but rather took its way, made its way to Eve.
Yeah.
Women are easily deceived as well as they can easily deceive, which means that deceptive aspect of women is what pulls men to be universally tempted at every given point in time.
Yeah.
Thereby making them feel like, okay, it is normal for us to be polygamous in our ways. But actually, when you look at our society of today, you discover that if you want to take a look at the Bible, you see in the Old Testament, it was like a kind of thing that was promoted. But then Jesus came and tried to abolish it, put an end to that. Now, if you look at the African context, as we have heard our co-panelists mention there, it is made normal, given that children in those days were regarded as riches.
Yeah,
having children back then, if you had 20 children, then you are a rich man. And in those times too, it was open up to rich persons, kings, masters who have money and who had money. They were allowed to do what? To get married to as many wives as possible. But then to those who are poor, it was like if you go to there is this I would like to quote this Muslim book we call Surah An-Nisa 4 verse 3. Now, it says that there's a condition given as to how many wives a man should get married. As many as you are able to take care of. Are we together? So now, if you look at this law in the Islam and even in the African context, you will see that it tends to promote this aspect of polygamy. But then we are not going to judge, like my sister Ella said, they will not judge, following our societies or the African or the religion, the Islam part of it, but we are going to judge following our Christian ways, because we all are Christians and we try to promote the new teachings that Jesus brought, not the old teachings we have had from our foreparents, from those in the Bible, from those around us, from our So we are actually going to see, like Hiela defined the word polygamy, a marriage to more than one wife. And now, as causes, some men may not be satisfied with the person they have. Maybe before getting married, they were used to committing actions with 2-3 wives. It became a habit to them. Now, getting married, you look at your partner and she doesn't seem to be able to satisfy your desires. 2, some men, before getting married, they were indulging themselves in this act of consuming chemicals before going into sex. And then now they are married to a partner who doesn't resist that strength they have. This is the second cause. They are forced now to do what? Go outside looking for that girl that is able to do what? Carry them or take them the way they are. Now, we look at another aspect. Some men too, in marriages, they look at their women and then maybe the first years, the women are beautiful to them. They are good, having everything they need. You know, a woman easily decays more than a man. Years pass, 2 years pass, 3 years pass, 4 years pass. The man now start looking at the woman to be like, maybe she's not so shiny anymore. She doesn't possess all those spices she had in the beginning. And then you see thoughts of coming in now, thoughts of getting another person who is fresher, I will use the word fresher, begin to come in. So, when we look at the Bible context, I would like to quote, we have Esau, that's Genesis chapter 26, 34, 6 to 9. Jacob 2, Genesis chapter 29, 15 to 28. Elkanah 2, 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse this. This gives many of them that justification that if the Bible can carry this context, if the Bible can carry this confirmation to give us the reason to do or to cheat. So, I think that many men are misconceiving that idea in their minds that polygamy is important to them, or taking that aspect of polygamy that is said to be in the nature of men to be promiscuous in their marriages. So, to me, it is not correct. It is not correct.
Anyway, Mr. Emo, we'll be coming back to that. Madam Melanie, why do you think some men think they are such? That they are polygamous by nature? Why? It's not every man out there. Maybe you might have heard, maybe come in contact with some of them, or maybe in your gathering. Why do you think some of them they think that they cannot change from that they're just like that?
The first conception what I want to say here is that when we talk with friends, with male friends, with colleagues, and people in the society, you hear them always say, if you finish the woman, it means a one woman is not sufficient for a man. Meaning they have the liberty to have as many other women or girls as possible. Why?
Because that a woman is not enough for a man.
One woman is not enough for a man.
Is it in terms of the person's size or maybe money or what?
No. When you say it's not enough, I don't know how to put it. Let me put it in quote. It's not enough, meaning like they say, can you eat only plantain every day?
Okay.
You need to eat plantain, cocoyam, and then you variarize your meal.
Yeah.
So that's the same conception they are bringing now into marriage.
Yeah.
What first of all is polygamy, as he rightly said, that is a practice or a custom where a man gets married to more than one wife. Yeah. We know that there are other forms of polygamy. We have polyandry, we have bigamy, and all of that, where a co-wife shares a husband, and co-husband share wives. So it's on two ways. But today we are focusing on the men because it is mostly seen in them. even though there's women to practice polygamy in another form in different countries like in India and all of that, where we can see men a woman marrying to more than one husband. But what justifies the fact that men are polygamous in a society is the fact that they have the money. Because when they have the money, they think they can command, they can choose, they can buy, they can do whatever they want. Because a man without money, what are you going to do with a woman without money? And then they will tell the women population is more than the men. And so if I should remain with one wife, what shall happen to this other one? Who will cater for their sexual needs? And so they have to go out. I have somebody who said, one woman, if you correct for me, I'm a generous man. I'm very generous when it comes to me sharing this thing. I cannot see a woman in cold and I just leave her languishing in cold. My sister, can you imagine that there are some women that nobody has ever told them, my dear, you are beautiful. And so what should you do with such a woman? You need to also make her feel that she's a woman. And so these are some of the misconceptions that we have in our society, which actually the Bible is against it. I believe we want to Christianize the context of which this topic is coming from, so that our men out there should know that God instituted marriage. Marriage, first of all, a covenant between two persons, between a man and a woman, with their consent and their free will, which means if you are forced into marriage, definitely the outcome will be promiscuity at the end of the day. Because there are parents who take our children and then do this what do they call this? That you betroth. You betroth your daughter or your son to a particular family because you want to maintain the family tight. You want to pay the source of paying your debt or safeguarding, I don't know, the name of the family. And so you betroth your children. At the end of the day, what happens? A man becomes, and at a certain point in time, the man becomes unsatisfied with that woman because it was not his choice. The woman becomes unsatisfied, and the man thinks that this was my father's choice, my mother's choice. I need to look for some other person that will fit my status. And this pushes them now to go out and start committing all sorts of promiscuity in the name of polygamy, in quotes. There are men who are officially not polygamous, like signing the polygamous marriage. They are monogamous. They have married to one wife, but yet they go out there exploiting other sex in the name of they are men. And so the society thinks that it is normal for a man to have many wives or to be promiscuous, while the society put a stigma on the woman, hearing that a woman is promiscuous. How dare you do that? Even in the cultural sector, they will blame you and ask you, now your man be the first person. So you see, society already gives men the upper hand to be polygamous and to be promiscuous at the same time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Melanie. Mr. Willie, I hope we have seen all those things that they're happening. Like, so we know where we are heading to. Could we maybe added to what she said? Could we look maybe to some of the causes that may push men in general? Some women even do support these women. Some cultures do even promote this kind of school of thought that may, to encourage it in our society. What do you think could be some of the causes that may push these men to think that they are polygamous by nature and you cannot change it from them? It's inborn with them. It's like cutting somebody's head from the whole body. You cannot separate them from it.
Yeah, Father, before I get to talk about that aspect, I just wish to shed a little bit of light on this aspect whereby Manu said Jesus came and abolished polygamy. you see, the Bible made it very clear that Jesus told them that Moses accepted that because the people were very heady, very
stubborn people. Yes,
that it was not what God instituted. So I just wish to clear all of these things. I think one of the reasons which actually pushes men into this aspect of being somehow promiscuous, at times the behavior of the woman at home. Yes, at times the behavior of the woman at home. The Bible in the book of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 23, it gives the role of a woman. That the woman should submit herself to the man. You realize in our today's context, it's difficult to get a submissive woman.
Wait, Mr. Will, we'll be coming to that. I don't want us to get it twisted. What is your point of view here? Are men polygamous by nature? From there, we'll know where we're heading to.
Well,
for you?
yes, men are polygamous in nature because if you look at the way a man is, the nature of a man, when you look at the nature of a man is at free will to have sexual intercourse from January to December. And a woman is not at free will to have sexual intercourse from January to December. And so you realize that when a man gets married to just one woman, if it's not by the grace of God, he will not be able to, for example, when the woman is menstruating, what does a man do?
Yes. I was expecting.
No, we are talking about the nature.
Yeah,
we are talking about the nature of a man. The man does not have any break. He doesn't have any break. We are not talking about a situation where he has to discipline himself or he behave like a Christian. But he's asking, what is it the nature of a man? Is the nature of a man being polygamous?
So what about the nature of a woman?
Yes.
What about the nature of a woman?
Well, the nature of a woman is that she has a break. She has a break.
Do you know that women, even during their menstrual flow, have high libido? If you say during that period, there are some women that even in that act, I once had a colleague who told me, in short, she has sex from January to December. That she has that high libido that when the husband wants to travel, she asks the husband, "Have you fulfilled your duty before leaving the house?" So it's both ends. It's on both ends. Some people are saying here is self-discipline. We know the morphology of the man may warrant them to have erection every day because of I don't know how they are built. God made them so, and so.
That's why we say it's the nature of a man.
No.
That's the nature of a man. The man is always available. But the woman, even during the period of menstrual, when you are menstruating, there are times that some women who have they are even sick during that particular time. So, but a man is always available. But we are saying that we are not encouraging any aspect of being promiscuous. We are saying that by nature, a man is always available. When a man sees something which is good, he always been attracted to, and he want to pursue the thing and to get the thing and to put the thing under his or his command. And that is something that we are saying is by the nature of a man. But we are not saying that is something that we should encourage. A man should be, as a Christian, you are supposed to be very, very disciplined. You put yourself under the control of what the Bible says, the principle of the Bible. If you are married, you cannot have any other relationship outside your marriage. You cannot. That is not acceptable, because you are following Jesus' principle. And if you have to do that, then you have to go for confession. We will not be encouraging you to be going for confession at the same time, the same sin every time you read.
Anyway, Mr. Willie, thank you for that. I'm sure, Madam Melanie, there's something you need to tell the viewers about this whole thing of men being maybe in quote, like we said, polygamous by nature. And does it give away or justify the fact why the promiscuity is very high among men, some of men in our society? What do you have to tell the viewers out there?
What I want to say is that the men are suffering from what we call lust. The men are being lustful. Lust in the sense that whatever you see, you want to behold. It's not supposed to be so. That is why the Bible says we need the spirit of what? Of temperance or self-control. Because if you do not possess the spirit of self-control, you will go behind every schedule. Even you will sleep with your mother one day. You will even sleep with your own daughter because by your nature, you admire everything and you want to put it under your control if I go by what you are saying. So the men need to be self-disciplined. They need to know that this food is for me and this is not for me. Remember, the Bible says, he who sees commit adultery, it was said that if you commit adultery with a woman, sleeping with a woman, but just by the fact of thinking of that act, you have already by that nature committed adultery in your mind. So to say that the mind is where it all starts. Like the book of James says, sin starts from the mind. It's like a drop of water. When you start conceiving sin and you don't work on that immediately, it starts building up, giving opportunities. Before you know it, you are eyeing somebody and you want to pretend, and then that thing keep pushing you. Before you know it, Satan will orchestrate events where you must meet that person one day in a closet where just two of you are there. And what happens? You have no other choice but to execute whatever you have been planning in your mind towards that person. When we talk about rape in the society, I don't think a man will just get up and you see a girl passing and you just have erection and you go and catch that person and rape. So I don't know. Maybe you men, you can in a better position to tell us what goes on in your brain, what goes on in your mind and in your morphology, maybe in your veins, that will warrant you to want to eat everything in the name of a skirt that you see.
Anyway, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Madam Melanie.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes, madam. I think what you have said is perfectly correct, but I don't think it does not contradict what he said, because he was answering the question to the question that was asked to him: are men naturally polygamous? I will say yes. It now
how do you explain that to the
just
the
like
viewers?
he started explaining, you know.
Because from that fact,
When
we are
a
saying that
man
if a man
happens
going
to-
out maybe to have other women out there, it's
Yes.
not normal.
Consider that a lady passes here with that is poorly dressed, you know, with exposed sensitive part of the body. It takes only the Holy Ghost for a man to look.
Imam, must you open your
Father,
eyes?
excuse me. It takes just the Holy Spirit for the man to be able to resist. You get the point, right? And that's where self-control comes in. See, Mama, that is where self-control comes in. You get the point. Let's leave our self-control and Christianity now, and go back to the nature as men are created. In that, you know, in their nature, there is a tendency that they will always be moved when they see a particular, you know, thing in a woman. You get the point. So what limits them now, which is very important, is that godness in them, that godliness in them, the spirit of Christianity in them, and then the self-control you earlier mentioned here, without which every man seeing every lady will go ahead doing things with the lady.
Madam Melanie, since you're a woman, is there something like that for women also?
Definitely, Father, I want to say, like, there's a common parlance that say the same blood you run for man in vain, like the same blood you run for woman.
The same blood. It's not the same blood.
Well, I'm giving popular opinion.
It's okay, yes, Madam
I'm
Melanie.
giving
you can go
popular
ahead,
opinion.
yeah.
That people say the same blood running in a man's vein is the same blood running in a woman's vein. What do I mean by that? That the same way a man admires the opposite sex is the same way a woman too admires another person. There are women who admire a man with a six-pack, some who admire a man with a very heavy one-pack, some who admire people with different motives.
Yeah.
So, admiration, if it ends at admiration, it is fine. But when you want to look now beyond what you are seeing, that is where the problem comes from. Admire and leave it at that, and say, okay, admire, oh, the wonderful creation. God is a God of varieties. Look at how beautiful this sister is. Look at her build, and it ends there. When you start imagining now what you can see now beyond the skirt or beyond the trouser, that is when the problem comes. The problem comes in. So we are saying that our men, in as much as they have the eyes to see anything, they should only look, admire, and do not try to behold.
Yeah, we have something here. We'll come back to you, Mr. Willie. There's something in we have this today. Men have taken advantage of their wealth, pride, and so-called tradition and weakness of their wives to keep many women around. Mr. Emma, what do you think about that? What do you
Take it
this
again,
is from Mr. Uncle Gliss from Limbe. He says today men have taken advantage of their wealth, pride, so-called tradition and weakness of their wives to keep many women around. That's like, you know, that polygamous kind of stuff, by, you know, and turning around promiscuity. So what do you have to say about that?
Father, there are times we want to commit particular sins, but we're limited. Not like we are afraid of sinning against God, but because we can't achieve that thing. I don't know if people understand what I'm saying. You know, you want to approach a certain lady. Maybe that lady is of a higher class than you are. You end up not going. You have not gone because you did not want to go, but because the lady, you know, maybe you did not have the guts to approach the lady. So now, going back to that question, like we have said here, in the nature of man, polygamy is inside. If you tear the blood of a man, you will see a little bit of polygamy inside. So now, if a wife happens to give the man a reason to cheat or to dance towards that tone of polygamy in that blood,
so inside, you just need to activate it.
By the character of a woman, going back to what he earlier said there, it could be activated, or it could be pushed by the character of a woman, the way a woman lives, you know, what she does. Maybe she's not able to submit to you the way you need, or maybe she's not able to give it to you. I mean, the marital responsibility, she's not able to give it to you the way you want it. And it could actually go back to what Ella said here. Maybe before you, the man getting married, you were used to going in with hot girls who can resist for hours. You have come and gotten married to somebody who can't take you for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't. Yeah, I think we are going back to what I said here.
So is that a reason? Is that a reason?
It could be a weakness on the part of the wife that will cause the man now to go back to his own weakness, which is found in his blood as a man, polygamous.
Madam Melanie is nodding her head in disappointment. So what if the viewers are there? Do I have contributions? Madam Melanie, I'm sure maybe while you put your points together, there's something here. In Africa, childlessness is considered a curse. Some men marry more wives because they want children. The first may be childless, and so they go in for a second and third, as the case may be. This is Lucien Brendan from Tatum Parish, Kumbo Diocese. So he thinks that in Africa, since they consider children as, like Mr. Emma said at the beginning, maybe a source of income, maybe to help farming and the rest. When there are no children, you go in for second wife. Maybe you don't have a male child, you go in for third wife and the rest, all those kind of things. But like he said, this is for us, like I said, this Mr. Brandon from Kumbo Diocese. That is his own point of view. Mr. Brandon will receive your message. Madame Melanie was nodding her head in disappointment when you were just talking. What are you telling the viewers, Melanie? That is that what Mr. Emma is saying? There's no water, like the Buddha said.
There's no water at all. Let me put it that way. There's no water. In the sense that he was saying something like the woman's attitude pushes the man towards promiscuity. I want to say, what about the man? When you put on attitude in the house, does it still push the woman out there? Let us go back to this thing in code that they say the same blood flowing in a man's vein flows in a woman,
which Mr. Willie is refusing.
Yeah,
and I do.
What I mean by this is that we are all liable to temptation. We are all human beings liable to temptation. The same way you admire, the same way a woman too can admire. So now you decided to get married. You came to a consent with your wife and say, I want to settle down, which means you've made a decision that I want to stick with this person. Because if you go back to the CCC of the Catholic Church, it makes us understand that marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman who are baptized, and God is involved in that marriage. When God is involved in that marriage, our bodies become the temple of the Holy Spirit. How then now do you involve God in your marriage, and then you go out again defiling the marriage, which himself again in the book of Hebrews says the marriage is an honorable thing, and the marriage bed should remain pure and undefiled.
Okay, we have these women admire men same way men admire women. The difference is that women will hardly act upon this desire like men because they are timid and more reserved in general than men. This is from Cynthia from Moliko. That's Cynthia's own point of view. She's talking from a women's perspective. You are talking from a men's perspective, I'm sure. That's her own point of view.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that the same vein that the blood that flows in a man's body is different from that of a woman. You look at how the way they were made. Just like what the caller just said. A woman can admire a man, but it's difficult for her to go and tell the man that I love you. Yes, the woman is difficult. But the man has the capacity to go and meet the woman and tell you that I love you, I want you, I need you, I want to take care of you. That is one of the natural take about a man that can also help him to be somehow promiscuous. Yes, because at any time if he has the means, if he also have the audacity, he can meet any woman and he can do whatsoever he want to do with the woman. Yes, that's the reason why most of the time, if you go to a woman, you talk to her, she doesn't accept. You can even use money. It's difficult for women to refuse money. Very, very difficult for women to withstand a man when money is concerned.
So do they have a link with money? Anyway, Madame Helena has been very silent.
Money. Women is they say if you want a woman to be happy, you give her money. If you want her to be more happy, you give her more money. And if you want her to be extremely happy, you give her extremely more money. Yes. So, but we are not on any way encouraging promiscuity. Yeah, but we are just saying that by the man's nature is that he has the possibility to be promiscuous. Yeah.
Yes. While Mr. Emma is coming on board, we asked Madam Kindness to put we got to some persons who's they gave their own views as far as this topic of today's edition is concerned. Men by nature are polygamous. Is a justification for their promiscuity. Madam Kindness will prepare that package for us, and maybe I'm sure Mr. Emma has something.
Yes, but I just wanted to add, like Ella said, that there is a time you may want to do something, you end up not doing the thing, not like you actually refused or finally changed your mind not to do it, but simply because you did not have what it takes to have that. It goes back to what you just said now. A woman may admire, yes, the blood runs in her too, she's a human being. She may admire, but now she doesn't have the guts to go up, and because she doesn't have the guts, she will restrain herself and will not end up going.
So I'm sure Madam Melanie,
but a man with their position, with their subordinate, their subordinate or position, yes, because a man is above a woman by nature of creation. Man is above a woman, and with that position of a man being above a woman and a woman subordinate to a man, he has what it takes at every given point in time to do what he wants to do. But now, what limits him now boils down to what we have concluded here by saying that we don't encourage polygamy, because it's against the scripture.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Kindness. I'm sure maybe if we have for the little baby used there, maybe you could just bring it. Let's see how we can maybe work on that. I'm sure we got to some persons also their views about this topic of today's edition. Over to you, Madam Kindness.
I am Dr. Theobald G. I'm here at the St. Jude Thaddeus Parish, my 14th Timanda. I think that we should first of all understand that education is one of the 5 fundamental social institutions that exist. And because it is a fundamental social institution, it has a goal. Education basically has 2 goals. The first one is to moralize society, and the second one is to train the mind. And I am Theobald G from the St. Jude Thaddeus Parish, my 14th Ibanda. We are talking about marriage. Let us not look at marriage in isolation. Let us begin by looking at the family. Let us begin by looking at the family. Marriage is a constituent of the family.
I'm a teacher with Catholic School in Republics. I want to talk about malpractice among the primary school pupils.
We're coming back to you, kind of a mix up there. We have that of these persons who gave their own views as far as the topic of today's edition is concerned. Men by nature are polygamous. Is it a justification for promiscuity back there in the society? Madam Helen has been very quiet. I'm sure she has something to tell the viewers as far as the topic of today's edition is concerned. Madam Helen, over to you. What do you have to tell them? Do you buy that idea first and foremost?
I can't buy the idea.
Yeah. So what are you telling the viewers about this whole
The
thing?
very first question I'm asking myself is, what nature are we talking about? When we say men are promiscuous by nature, what nature are we talking about? Because the only nature I know we should be talking about is the nature of God. Are we talking about the Adamic nature, which is the sinful one, or the regenerated nature, which is that of the Holy Spirit, that which gives self-control, that which helps you to go according to the plans of the master? So I don't think when men say they are promiscuous by nature, or when people have yes, when people have the notion that men should be polygamous by nature, I don't think it's correct, because it's a kind of waving the society away from the original plan. Because many of our co-panelists have been saying that maybe the woman thinks they cannot go the way the man will go, but I don't see it like that, because like my sister said, the same way you feel for a man is the same way a woman feels for the man. The same way a woman feels for a man is the same way the man feels for the woman. So it's a two-way kind of thing. And if the woman is able to control, like take that self-control and control herself, okay, this is how I'm feeling for this man, but then because I'm not supposed to go this way, this polygamous thing even, why are we always talking about just the men having the many women? Because polygamous is about the women to having maybe more men. It's true that we don't want to talk about this, but if a woman decides to do that, it works like it has been working for other countries. So if we get down to the point of saying it's the man nature, that word nature in this topic, it's my problem. Yeah, I don't think we should be calling it the man's nature, because the only nature God put in the man was the nature of righteousness, and it wasn't the nature of sin. So when man takes the nature of sin to be part of him, it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem.
They have become animals. because they have now taken over the animal nature.
Really?
Because an animal acts on instincts. They don't reason. That is why human being is a rational animal, and the other lesser animals are instinctive beings. So they act on their instinct, their impulse. That is why a dog will fellow sleep with a fellow, I don't know how they call a child of a dog. And so the animal will sleep with his fellow progeny. I don't know how to put it. You sleep with your fellow children. Let me put in that way, because they don't have the ability to reason that these are my species, these are my genes, these are my what do you call them? These are my products. So I am not supposed to have anything with them. So the men now want to put on the nature of the lesser beings, the animals, to do whatever they want, because they don't want to subject themselves under control. And so there's something both of you Larry said, that the woman's attitude might push the man towards promiscuity. That is why in the first place this topic is very broad. It's just I want to narrow it down to men being polygamous and infidelity, because we want to take it from the origin of marriage itself. In the broader spectrum, we take a look at marriage and the different types of marriages, and then now we come to what the Bible says, what the church says about it, and what you as a man is supposed to do. Remember, if you have decided, because nobody forces you into marriage, it's a consent between two people. And so that's why in the church, do you take this person to be your lawfully wedded wife and all of that, and you make that commitment and you take that covenant before God and before the whole church. Meaning that whatever that goes wrong in that marriage, you have to go back to the person that instituted marriage, which is God, that was involved at the very beginning, for him to sort the way out for you. And then if you want to now take it your own way, it means you're not saying that you involve God in it and you want now to go your own way. Why then now involve God in the marriage, and then when things are going wrong now, you want to solve it your own way? Meaning, both parties need to have a consensus. Dialogue is very important, and that is why premarital sex is a very dangerous thing before marriage. If I want to digress a little bit, because most often there are men who have had sex with several ladies, and then now you come and now you look for a decent child from a decent background who has not been promiscuous and then wants to settle down. Instead of you, if the woman is not meeting up to your expectation, instead of you now being the experienced one to guide this young girl towards the path that you want the marriage to be, you instead think the best way is to abandon her there in depression, wallow in misery, and then you go out swimming in the oceans. It is not fair. It is not right. There are so many women that die of depression in their homes because their men have become promiscuous to the extent they cannot handle it anymore.
Anyway, thank you very much, Madam Melanie. Time is not really a friend. I think at this point in time, we go directly. We look at what are the consequences that comes as a result of this whole issue of men in quote being polygamous by nature, and of course promiscuity, the order of the day. Well, what are some of Madam Helen? Can we just look at some of the consequences?
I think, Father.
Yeah.
When we look at Proverbs chapter 6, verse 32, 33, the Bible makes us understand that a man who gets into this kind of relationship is like a fire that consumes to destruction. That's you take somebody's child or you take somebody's sister, and then you consume the person. You remove, like you drain out everything good that is in the person, and when you feel tired, like Madame Melanie was saying, you go for the next. You take the next. I used to have a neighbor who has 2 wives, and every day I kept asking myself, but what is the essence? Money he did not have. Character he did not have. Not really. Love he did not have. When you look at him, you are asking yourself, but what caused this? What caused these women to get into this? Or I don't know. Because today when this topic came on, I was like looking back at this and I was asking myself, why should this happen? So you take someone's child and you bring into the house and you are not able to maintain because you thought it was your nature. And your inability to maintain is because it's just to tell you it wasn't your nature. But you took a wrongful nature, and so it's affecting the entire family. That's why at a certain point in time, I was looking at my own background where my father had, my grandfather got married to 5 wives. And I'm telling myself, not really a chief. And if you look at this family, all the children get very glued to their mothers, not the father. Why? The question is why? because this father is the one at fault.
Yeah.
That nature we are calling the nature of promiscuous nature, it's a wrong nature. It's a wrong term. And so we shouldn't be using that, because that is the reason why these children think, if I get to this man, there's no security in the father, who is a promiscuous man. But there is security in this mother. It's true that the mother got into the marriage, but then the mother is not the one doing the wrong thing.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Helen. We have something here. Reasons for this polygamous nature among men is because suspicion among women towards their husbands. Some women are not so romantic in nature. Lack of respect for their husbands is also a point. Some women can cook very well. Some men are attracted by what they eat outside prepared by their concubines. The behavior of some women in bed prompts men to go out. This is still from Uncle Glis, from Bonalikobo, my phone limbe. Madam Melanie, I'm sure this is, what do you think about these reasons for, men, some of them being promiscuous, maybe, or thinking that they are polygamous by nature, and they just, just do the things wherever they find themselves?
Father, I want to say, men are suffering from lust. There is no other way I can define their action. It is lust. Like we said, marriage does not stop lust. If you want to run away from lust and think that marriage will solve this problem, it will never solve it. Because once you get married, that tendency is still there for you to look outside. And if you get married to 10 wives, you will still leave those 10 wives and go for the 11th. So men, learn how to discipline yourself. You are a small God. You are an honorable being. Discipline yourself. Control your emotions. You are not an animal. Have self-control. Have some certain dignity for yourself. If you are married to a woman, what attracted you first of all to that woman? Father, I want to say, I watched a program on a documentary where on that's the way the what do you call these people, Tanzania. Yeah. They have what we call marriage counselors. I don't know why in Cameroon we have marriage counselors. Before you even take the initiative, the step to marry, you pass through the traditional marriage counselors. They counsel you people on what marriage entails, what marriage is all about. And when you're facing difficulty, you go back to those same traditional marriage counselors. They put you people on track. They will tell the woman how to cook. The men will meet the fellow men. They will tell you mathematics, ties, and all of that, the same way they do. I remember when I was growing up, when we have this Pentecostal church, like the Deeper Lives and the rest, when we knew they were very pious people at that time. When you intend a girl to get married, they take you and send mommy pastor or to an elderly woman in the church, and they will teach you everything about marriage. And the man goes to a fellow man and they teach you everything. I remember my very good friend's younger sister got married as a virgin, and so they told her what to do. How when you get to bed, this is what you do, this is what you do. My colleague who got married a few years back, I just 35 as a virgin. She got there, the thing could not function because they didn't even know how to go about it. And they had to call their pastor, Daddy, the thing is not working. And pastor had to tell the man that do this, it will work. And she told me, she made up her mind herself and said, this thing must work. And it started working. So what is there is not workable in marriage. If you actually love your wife and you say, this is somebody who say it's a bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, then you do everything to keep the other person happy. When you are promiscuous, how do you think that other person feels? It destroys the emotion. It builds up anger, jealousy, in short, hatred. The woman in the house can even kill you because she will not see herself living. Because no woman, they say woman they're bad. A woman decides to get married to a man to make a happy home. And at the end of the day, that happiness does not come because the man just wanted to catch her and then go about swimming in the oceans. So it's a dangerous thing.
Madam Melanie just said something.
Yeah.
I'm making it work.
Yeah.
Like this point this person have raised here, you realize that where the problem lies is people not agreeing, deciding to make it work.
Yeah.
Because when you have situations in marriage, say the woman does not know how to cook, the woman cannot dress well, the woman, all the cannots that you can ever name in this life, what are the men doing to make sure these women get in line with their expectations? The men don't do anything. The men leave the woman who cannot dress well, goes out, spend money on the woman who can dress well, don't spend money on the one who cannot dress well. Meanwhile, this person is at home. So I think that the one of the points is not deciding to say this thing will go well. If men start deciding that this marriage will go well, even with a woman who does not know how to make love, how to be romantic, if you decide that this marriage will go well, it will go well.
Definitely.
It will go well. So men should start thinking like that instead of thinking it's their nature that they should be polygamous.
Yeah.
They say quitters never win, sister.
That's it.
When you
Winners
quit, you
never
see a
quit.
trouble and you run away from the trouble because you think you want to have solace outside. You will still come back and meet that problem at home. Marrying 10 wives does not solve any problem because you are creating more problems for yourself.
Thank you very much. Look at this situation. Like our sister Elia shared there that the father was married to 5 wives. Grandfather. Yeah.
No, we're looking at the consequences, of course.
Yeah. I happen to be one of the cases, you know. So I've experienced what it means to be in a polygamous marriage. It was very unfortunate that I come from the first wife of the compound. And you know, when we talk about polygamous crisis, the first wife always suffers the most. Because like Ella said, the man with that notion in his mind, you know, the first person to get married, now after some years the person becomes like useless to you, which is a very poor and archaic way of reasoning. You know, we have said things here and we are in no way supporting this aspect. So the first 10 years of marriage are still a workshop for the couples. The first 10 years of marriage remain a workshop for the couples. And now, I am in no way trying to support the fact that persons should date for some time before getting married, but then you should not get married to the person or to a person you do not know. Beautiful. Now, if you are getting married to somebody, you must have known the person's loopholes, you know, the failures, the strength, and so on and so forth. And if you have known the person's weaknesses and the strength of the persons, then you must have known or derived means to do what? Handle them. And so, if you get married to somebody who is not perfect, like she earlier said, you are bound to derive ways to do what? To make the person, to prune the person. In that process of training, that training workshop that I've mentioned here for the first 10 years of marriage, is a period to prune, you know, prune the wife to resemble your taste, to satisfy you, while the wife to equally prunes the man to fit and satisfy her. So my conclusion would be that men with that ideology, we are polygamous, should be cancelled from today and do what? Do what it takes to live and live happy lives with your marriage, or happy married lives.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. We will have this. My view about men being polygamous in nature, a lack of responsibility, lack of self-control, a loss of interest in their wives after childbirth. This is by Anita from Boya. Madam Melanie, what do you have to say about this person here? What do you have to say about that?
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anita from Boya. Your contribution is
Definitely, Father. People have different motives why they get married in the first place. People get married from certain, for example, the men, you want to look at the figure 8. Some marry because of the voice. Some marry because of the cooking aspect. Some marry because of this one is a quiet somebody, is a Christian. I know this one will never be tempted to go out. Even if I go and commit adultery and come back, she'll forgive me. So people have different motives why they get married. And so the reason why you get married will determine what you do after that marriage. Even if the person might the morphology because of the sort of childbirth is no longer what it is, but that unifying factor that bonded you people from the very beginning will still make that marriage sustainable. So I want to say, amen, discipline yourself.
Yes, there's another one here. Greetings to the panelists. I'm so excited with the topic of today. I am Sister Isabel Tumenta from Mayo Street, Boya. My contribution is that men should exercise self-control. We're still going back. That's the second person. Marriage is an act of decision, and it is the responsibility of both parties to make it work. What stop a man from cooking or helping in the house chores? Like what stop a woman from supporting in paying of bills? You know, this is. Thank you very much, Madam Isabel. Also, Madam Helen, what do you have to say about that? You know, talking about self-control. That Mr. William and Mr. Emma, self-control. The other person talked about self-control. Is it that men they lack self-control? Maybe it's not in the agenda.
Of course. It's not like it's not in the agenda.
Yeah, so
it is there, but they have refused. They have chosen to accept the wrong thing.
Yeah,
they have chosen to feel that my father, like some people say, my father got married to 8 wives, and so I need to get married. Just like a kind of pattern you want to follow. But then, as we have been saying, that it's a kind of joint effort. You have to put the efforts together to make sure that marriage work.
Yeah.
Because if the marriage does not work,
There's that probability
with this promiscuity and all of that,
Yeah.
you the man, you don't, it's not like the man does not suffer in it. The man has his own way he suffers, just that they don't bring it out.
Yeah.
If you want to put men and tell the men, tell us really what do you go through in your marriages with these men who have more than one wife, you hear
Hell.
Terrible things.
terrible
Hell.
things.
And we'll have something here again. Good evening to the panel. For me, it is not a justification. There are numerous reasons why polygamy is not acceptable, particularly within the context of a marriage that is based on the Catholic doctrine. When a couple chooses to get married in the eyes of the church, they are making a commitment to each other to uphold the values and beliefs of their faith. This includes the principle of monogamy, which is encouraged and respected within the Catholic Church. In making the decision to marry, individuals are choosing to put away any habits or behaviors that may go against the teachings of their faith. This sacrifice is not only a commitment to their partner, but also a commitment to God and the promises they made in their marriage vows. Going against these vows by engaging in polygamous behavior is not only disrespectful to one's partner, but also a violation of the sacred bond formed in marriage. Furthermore, the argument that men are inherently polygamous in nature does not justify or excuse promiscuity. Both men and women have the same opportunities to admire others outside of their relationship, but it is the choice to act on these feelings that defines one's character. It is important to hold oneself accountable to the values and beliefs that they have been instilled through religious teachings, rather than using natural inclinations as a justification for their sinful behavior. In conclusion, polygamy is not acceptable within the context of a marriage based on the Catholic doctrine. By choosing to marry, individuals are committing to upholding the principles of monogamy and respecting the sanctity of their union. Going against these teachings is not only by a betrayal of one's partner, but also a violation of sacred vows made before God. It is important to honor and uphold the values of one's faith, even in the face of natural inclinations or societal pressure. This is Jack Killian Fokwa from Douala. Thank you very much for this. It's a teaching also. Thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Jack Killian Fokwa from Douala. We'll come back again to Madam Melanie. What do you think about this? Is Mr. Jack Killian Fokwa from Douala? What do you think about his contribution?
Definitely, Father, he has just said what nothing else but the truth. Reason being that, like we said, there are different types of marriages, not so.
Yeah.
There are some cultures like the Bamileke people. To them, getting married to more than, if they see one wife, it's like you are not man enough to have. You are not man enough because you have just one wife. So to them, polygamy is in the nature of their culture.
Yeah.
The Bangwas and the like is normal for them. And so just having one wife, you're limited already. You cannot meet the standard with your friend. You cannot talk when others are talking. Because having many wives boosts your morale, it boosts your ego. It makes you, I don't know, what
put you a quarter head.
Definitely.
Okay, we have these again consequences. The fall of some men, death, infection of I'm sure these venereal diseases, hatred among their women, disunity, hatred among their children. This is still from Uncle Glees from my phone. Thank you very much. This is the third time. So that those are some of he says the consequences that may come along this school of thought that men by nature are polygamous, and it brings in promiscuity. So we take Mr. Willie. What do you tell the viewers, like your own way forward as far as today's topic is concerned? What do you tell them?
Father, I think all has been said. Yeah, so what I will have to tell the world this evening is that there are times we are misled by misconceptions or conceptions. Some may take in conception, and some may take in. I will take it as misconceptions. So, our mindsets first, imitations. Those we look up to, those we imitate, the peers, the people we keep, the friends we keep. We shouldn't imitate from others. And we should not base our minds on the thoughts that nature has imposed on us, or culture or tradition has imposed on us. Like we have heard here being said how many people have taken up this aspect of polygamy mainly because of what they have heard people say, they have seen people do, and what the culture holds for them. So I want to advise all of us men in particular to always remember that there are women that will go for you even without money.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Emma. We have something here from Mr. Luis Nongene. It says the idea of men being polygamous is rubbish. Men who propel this concept are just lustful, indisciplined, and lack self-control. Ask them to permit their wives to sleep out and see their reaction. No one wants to be cheated on, not the man nor the woman. Thank you very much, Mr. Luis Nongene. And Madam Helen, one word to the viewers as far as today's topic is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Luis Nongene, for that.
To all the viewers of DMRO TV, I want to tell you that so many times people say, they quote Solomon in the Bible. They said he had many wives and all of this, but they always forget to remember the consequences he faced with disobeying the laws that was put in place by his master, the creator, which is God, who is God. And so at the end, what happened to Solomon was that many things that he was supposed to receive, he could not receive them. The only thing he received was from, like, it's your father's David. It's on behalf of your father's David. I'm giving you this thing. God told him clearly, I'm giving it on behalf of your father's David. So when you get out of the master's plan, what happens is that you don't get the benefits that you're supposed to get as a man, as a woman, when you get into these wrong practices.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Mr. Willie, and then Madam Melanie is going to conclude for today's edition. What do you have for the viewers out there, especially men who think that they are polygamous by nature and therefore their best friends is promiscuity, infidelity, all those kind of stuff?
I think as a man, once you are married, you are supposed to live according to the principle that God has put in place. Especially what Jesus said. He said that a man shall leave the parents and the same for the woman, and they will all join together and become one. I think as a married person, there's nothing like polygamy, or there's nothing like side chick, there's nothing like you being promiscuous outside. I think the most important thing is that you should help to build your family, and you help to make sure that your family should be happy. Reserve your energy, reserve your money, reserve your time to focus on your family and build a happy and successful family, so that tomorrow you can transfer the same virtues into your children, so that the world will continue to be a happy place.
Yeah, thank you very much. And to Madam Melanie, what do you have for the viewers out there?
My dear viewers, my take this evening is that our fellow brothers need to be disciplined. They need self-control. They need to feel what the woman feels. They need to love their spouses, keep to the covenant they took before God and before man. They need to pray together when temptation arises. They need to be sincere to each other, because without that, before you know it, you'll be keeping about 10 or 15 side chicks, and you end up in depression. You end up dying before your time, because you cannot satisfy all those women. So my take is one wife, one man, one woman. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Melanie, for being with us. Thank you very much, Madam Helen, Mr. Williams, and Mr. Emmanuel for creating time to be with us today. We thank also Madam Kindness JC over there, all those who are assisting to ensure that the MRO TV moves on nicely. We equally say a big thank you to our Bishop, who is the #1 supporter and promoter of this TV, that God may continue to bless them. Keep watching the MRO TV, and especially our program Mountain Echoes. May God bless you all.